As a sustainable artist and upcycle designer, I was recently asked to share advice with folks that are looking to start being more eco-friendly in their own practices. And as I started thinking about the different advice I wanted to share, I came up with a list of 5 easy ways that you can incorporate eco-friendly techniques in what you do starting today. Number 1, use what already exists. So we live in this throwaway culture that encourages us to constantly upgrade to the bigger, the better, the next, with no regard for the waste that is created from all of those previous iterations of whatever it is that we're using. And unfortunately, we can't rely on these big businesses or even leaders to make this change. So it has to start with us. Now, in addition to really being mindful of making that change in your community by voting, that's a big way. What I really want to encourage you to do that you can do starting today is to use what already exists. And this can be done a number of ways. First of all, when you create a community and when you're involved in your community, you start to talk to folks, right? You start to have these conversations with other makers and other artists, and you may discover that someone has something that you're looking for, and maybe you can trade something you have. Okay, so it doesn't even have to cost you money to do this. It can just be a trade or barter system. And not only is that a great way to get to know your fellow artists and your community, but then when you start new crafts, if you're like me, you start a lot of new crafts. Instead of going out and spending a ton of money for things that you're only gonna need for a little bit of time until you shift gears, you can actually save that money and keep those items out of the landfill. You can also shop secondhand and find many of these items which have also been donated. Also check where you are to see if you have a creative reuse center. These are growing in popularity and they are amazing. We have one here in Spokane called Art Salvage. I just happen to be a board member, but I really believe in their mission. And they're a nonprofit that takes in donations from the community of art and miscellaneous items that can be used for art and work to keep those items out of the landfill. Last year in the executive director's report, you can actually find this data directly online. We were able to divert almost 64,000 pounds from the landfill. That's in 1 year. That's a huge, huge difference. And all it takes is reimagining how you think about how you accumulate or get those items that you need. Now, I want to be completely frank with all of you because it can be hard. It's a challenge. These last couple of weeks, I was on vacation in the Bighorn National Forest. And while I was there, as I often do, I decided I wanted to try a new craft. So this time, because I'm out in the woods and in a small little, there's a little small town nearby, I started working with wood and deciding that, I really want to see about this woodworking piece. So I had a friend who is a retired shop teacher who took me to their house in Buffalo, Wyoming, and their shop was amazing. I got to see how all these different power tools work, and I kind of fell in love with a miter saw. So in my brain, I immediately went to where can I buy one? So I went online and I started looking at locations near me. Ace. I typically, if I am going to buy something new, will still try to shop from somewhere that is in the community. So our Ace is locally owned. I looked there. I also looked on Lowe's. I looked at Home Depot, which I don't tend to support, but I was looking all over for, this miter saw. And as I was doing this, it totally dawned on me, why am I not looking on Facebook Marketplace? Why am I not checking with these groups that I'm members of to see if anyone has one that they can trade or that they want to get rid of and sell? So it's just a matter of retraining how we think about that consumption piece and using what we already have. And guess what? You don't have to be perfect. That's the best part of all of these tips I'm going to share with you. Make an effort because the more you start to incorporate each of these tips, it'll become easier over time. But like I just pointed out, it can still be a struggle. Number 2, be a trash panda. Yes, friends, get out there like a raccoon and dig through the trash and find things that inspire you. That's what I do. And I will tell you, I'm actually more inspired and I make some of the coolest things just from what I find as offcuts, fabric scraps, walking out my front door and finding sticks on the ground. There are so many things that we can do just by scavenging and finding those pieces. Kind of going along with tip number 1 as well is you may find when you follow groups online or your buy nothing groups, folks are getting rid of old blankets, old quilts, old towels, fabric scraps, wood cutoffs. This is one thing that I want to look at. Someone mentioned to me years ago, some of those bigger hardware stores that carry wood will give you their offcuts for free. I haven't actually done it, but I am contemplating going to Lowe's and seeing if this is a reality. So stay tuned. You can follow me on Instagram for any updates around that. But I really feel if they don't let you take them, they're probably going to end up in their trash bin. And again, be a trash panda. Also, think about how many projects you've made over the years. I mean, I think about how many projects I made just this year alone, and then think about how much waste is made from each project, whether it's paper and you have a ton of paper scraps. I already talked about fabric because I work a lot with fabric scraps, wood scraps, which I just went into detail with. When you really start to visualize and think about how much waste you're making as a single person, and then multiply that by how many people in the world are doing the same thing, it can be a little scary. Now, the goal, of course, would be to be zero waste, but we're not there. We're totally not there. And I'm not there. So the next best thing that I encourage you to do is really capture that waste, turn it into something beautiful, and that is the next best thing. Number 3, support your local economy. Again, this is tying into those first 2. None of these are going to be difficult. Like I told you, it's just a matter of restructuring how you think about things. But it's true, there are going to be times where you have to buy something new. For example, if I need to use paper, well, I can find paper secondhand, but there may be a specific weight or a specific size that I need for a project. And if I can't find it secondhand, then I may need to purchase it. So really supporting your local economy and going to those smaller businesses near you, or at least shopping in your own town will make a big difference. Did you know? So I just learned this and I find this super interesting. But when you support a local business, instead of shopping online on one of those big box retailers, about 47 to 48 cents of your purchase actually stays in your community. So you go to the small store up the street and you purchase what you need, your art supplies. Then they take that and they use this to purchase supplies for their store, whatever it is. And on the contrast to that, only about 14 cents of your purchase will actually come back to your community when you shop at those big box stores online. So keeping it local, supporting your local economy, it'll make you feel good, and also it'll keep that money in your community and it will make a difference. Number 4, less packaging is more. Now, this really only applies for those of you that are selling your items or packaging your items for whatever. Maybe you're going to send something to a friend or to a relative as a gift. Just be very mindful of your packaging. I know that you want to have everything perfectly branded, and there's a lot of focus on getting all the right items and providing all the things. If you've ever purchased something online, I've seen this happen so many times, and it's still happening today. Maybe you just order something that's about this big, but yet it comes in a giant box filled with paper. So all of that is waste. So we want to be mindful with that. Now, I could go into a whole side quest on all the different ways that you can create really amazing eco-friendly packaging. Let me know if you want to see a video on that. I just recently shipped out about 500 items, and I feel that the choices I made were as good as I could do. And I ended up using paper bags. I used secondhand paper that I printed on. I used a hole punch and put ribbon in there. Everything I did, I was just mindful of how that waste is going to be disposed of. When the person receives it, what are they typically going to do with it? I would like to hope that they take it and reuse it for their own art or their own projects, but the reality is they won't. So by using items that are easy to recycle, like paper or compostable items, will make a big difference. Again, going back to what we mentioned before, you make the choices and the decisions on how eco-friendly you want your business to be. While the big businesses don't care where their items end up, you should. And it's easy to incorporate those techniques into what you're doing. And some pushback I've heard around this is, what if your customers are upset? What if they're mad that they don't get fancy packaging and it looks like things are, aesthetically not as pleasing as maybe they bought it from another company? Well, honestly, I have never had an issue with that because I'm very clear with my customers that I am a sustainable or eco-friendly artist. They expect their items to come in maybe not so perfect packaging. And honestly, I think that they keep coming back for that because it makes them feel good as well. So that just to dispel that rumor that customers will not be happy. And if they're not happy, those may not be the right customers for you. However, the right customers will find you and continue to come back time and time again, and they'll be super happy and pleased with how you package your items. And tip number 5 is to live your why. So I'm hoping this video hasn't sounded super preachy, and especially this tip right here. So right now, eco-friendly and sustainable methods are everywhere. They are so trendy. You look online and you see a lot of influencers posting on what they're doing today. But you know what happens tomorrow? The next trend comes along and they're back to that overconsumption and contributing to the landfill. But you know what? We don't have to be like that. So if you live your why, if you understand the why behind these different techniques, it'll make it so much easier to continue to incorporate these methods and additional methods as you move forward with what you're doing as an artist. As long as I can remember, I have focused on sustainability. It's a learning process. I have changed the way I've done things over the years to really align with my why. And my why is, we have one planet. We need to take care of her, because when we truly believe that the earth is worth fighting for, it'll be easier for you again to continue to incorporate these methods. Your customers, your patrons, your clients, they'll also feel that passion and they will be excited as well to support you. Also, when you're living your why and you're sharing that passion, maybe one other person will also be inspired by what you're doing and incorporate that into what they're doing. Then maybe another person will get inspired by them, and so forth. And then we create this big snowball effect and we can actually make huge change. So I hope one of these techniques were inspiring to you. If you've already incorporated one of these techniques or you plan on incorporating one of them, let me know in the comments. We would love to hear. And also, if you have some of your own tips, please share those with us. As I mentioned, I am always learning, and I have learned so much from all of you. So that's it. Until next time, everyone. See ya!